name is Hugh Rasmussen. According to his secretary, he was a partner at Fairchild and Rasmussen, some big Wall Street law firm.
How did the job come in?
Secretary, she found him. Name is Judith Howe. She got here around 8:30.
This guy was still working at his age?
She says he was retired, but kept her on so she'd come over every day to see what he needed.
Doesn't look like he's got any bruises.
She said the pillow was over his face when she walked in.
Where's she?
Out in the living room.
Miss Hall,
Yes,
can you tell us what happened this morning?
I got here at 7:30 as I always do. I let myself in. I made myself a cup of tea and I waited in the kitchen. At around 8:15, not having heard from Mr. Rasmussen, I went into the bedroom, which is where I found him.
You were coming from where?
My home, which is at 3220 Crocheron Avenue in Flushing.
You must leave the house early.
Around 6:15.
How do you get to work?
I drive to Long Island City, I park, and I take the number 7 train in.
Mr. Rasmussen married?
Yes, he is.
Do you know where his wife is?
I know she isn't here. I think she got picked up this morning by a friend of hers. Where they went, that I don't know.
How long had you been working for him?
I came to work in 1977.
You must have been very attached to him.
I was.
Well, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much for saying that. What's going on?
She's the wife. There seems to have been an accident.
Hugh's dead, Amy. What? Someone suffocated him by putting a pillow over his face and holding it there.
Judith, why don't you give us a minute with Amy? Please.
I'll be in the kitchen if you need me.
Have a seat.
We know this is a difficult time and it's a big shock, but we have a couple questions for you. Can we get you anything? Something to drink?
No, go ahead. Ask me whatever you have to ask me.
When's the last time you saw your husband?
When I left for the gym this morning, that was about 6:30.
Everything seemed normal?
Uh-huh. I kissed him goodbye. Told him that we'd have lunch together.
How long had you and your husband been married?
It would have been 2 years this coming July.
Was it a good relationship?
Are you asking that because of the difference in age?
It's a pretty extreme difference.
Right. And people look at Hugh like he's a dirty old man and me like I'm a gold digger, and everyone with their judgments and their opinions can just go straight to hell. Where is he?
In the bedroom.
I want to see him.
You might not want to put yourself through
He's
that.
my husband, and I want to see him.
Guy was 80, his wife's 28.
Looks like he was suffocated.
Any history of domestic violence?
None that we're seeing so far.
That's a 52-year difference between them.
Guy had ties older than her. Anyway, we dumped the phone. We got his lawyer coming in to give us details of their financial arrangement.
What's her background?
She's hot.
That's her background?
No, I mean, we don't know really what her background is.
That'd be a good thing to find out.
Absolutely.
We'll keep you posted.
Getting promoted today.
Yeah.
Sergeant Sipowicz. Congratulations.
Were you struck blind?
What?
You got a press for the ceremony?
Yeah, I had it at the tailor's. The saw on the sergeant's straps. I'm sure it's in good shape.
Where are you taking the family after?
I made a reservation at Shunley.
Well, that's nice.
We got a DOA, possible homicide at senior citizens home. Who's up?
Oh, that's me.
You and Metaboy respond. 625 East 23rd Street.
What's going on? DOA's Olive Rosenthal. She didn't show for breakfast this morning. One of the aides came to check on her, found her dead.
Well, why are we here?
Doctor wouldn't sign a death certificate. It's in the next room, named Sean Mara.
Dr. Mara.
Yes.
What's the problem?
I was called by the director to come and examine Mrs. Rosenthal and sign on the death certificate. And when I got here, I saw a blood spot on her nightgown in the abdominal area. I examined underneath and saw evidence of an injection.
When's the last time you saw her?
About 2 weeks ago.
Healthy?
Given her age, yeah.
What you're saying is evidence of an injection. Could that be anything else?
There's a bruise, and what I think is a needle mark. Now, I can't state conclusively that that's what it is, and absent any autopsy, I can't state conclusively that that's what killed her. There's just no way at this point that I'm going to sign off on it being natural causes.
Okay. The director around?
In here. Her name's Lillian Jacobs.
Miss Jacobs.
That's me.
Detective Medavoy, this is Detective Jones. What can you tell us about Mrs. Rosenthal?
She was with us about 6 months. Nothing particularly unusual about her.
Any complaints from her about conflicts with anyone?
None that I'm aware of.
Who was the aide that found her?
Oh, that would be Elanor. Elanor? These are detectives. Why don't you tell them what happened this morning?
When Mrs. Rosenthal didn't come to breakfast, I went to check on her. I found her not breathing, and I hit the panic button.
Elanor worked full-time as Mrs. Rosenthal's aide.
Was there anyone else that would come into her room?
She might have visitors, but as a rule, there were no staff people coming in other than Elanor. Might I speak to you for a moment privately? Because this kind of thing can be very upsetting for the other residents, I would ask that you didn't speak to them about it.
Well, that might be unavoidable.
Why is that?
Well, in order to investigate a homicide, we have to talk to the people who knew the victim.
Well, number one, you don't know that this is a homicide. And number two, how much information do you think you're going to get from these people?
Well, we won't know that until we talk to them.
What was the financial arrangement between Rasmussen and his wife?
If they got a divorce, regardless of who initiated it, it was a straight buyout, $500,000 all in. If they were together at the time of his death, then she inherited half his estate.
Who got the other half?
It was split between a number of employees, friends. There were substantial bequests to some institutions. He also set up a trust for his brother.
What's the estate worth?
All told, about $120 million.
As far as you can tell, did him and the wife get along?
I don't know what kind of arrangement they had, but they seemed to get along fine.
What does that mean?
It means she's 28 years old. She didn't necessarily conform her lifestyle to that of an 80-year-old man.
So are you telling us she had some extracurricular relationships going on?
At least one that I know of.
Who is he?
The only reason I know about him is I was shown an unexplained $42,000 expenditure by his accountant. When I asked Hugh about it, he told me it was for a truck for a friend of Amy's.
You know the friend's name?
Richard Pancava.
You know where we can get in touch with him?
I made a point of knowing how to get in touch with him. Amy might have convinced Hugh it was an innocent relationship. She didn't convince me.
This is the daughter of the woman in the nursing home.
It's not a nursing home, it's an assisted living facility.
Sorry. I'm Detective Medavoy, and this is my partner, Detective Jones.
Nora Rosenthal.
Why don't we come back in here?
You'll have to forgive me. I got the news about my mother 2 hours ago, and I'm holding it together, but just barely.
It's very tough to lose a mother. I lost mine a number of years ago, and I can still get choked up thinking about it.
Where do we stand with the investigation?
We're waiting for the toxicology panelists to come back from the medical examiner's office. In the meantime, we're looking at who might have had access to her room.
It's conclusive she was injected with something.
Based on a preliminary examination, yeah.
Okay. Here's who your investigation should focus on. Her name is Elanor Jackson. She lives, I believe, on Gun Hill Road in the Bronx. As soon as I get to the office, I'll call with the exact address.
The Elanor Jackson who found your mother this morning?
Pretended to find her.
What makes you suspect her?
I hired her so that my mother would have someone with her at all times. And what I was seeing more and more of was that she was asserting her own will in ways that were inappropriate.
Like how?
Rearranging furniture, dispensing opinions on things that didn't concern her. Doesn't sound like much, but it wasn't what she was paid to do.
It's a long way from that to committing murder.
I also believe she was stealing. The last time I was there, I noticed things missing.
When was that?
About a month ago. I'm quite sure if you search her apartment, you'll find whatever's missing.
Well, at present, we have no right to search her apartment.
Let's see if I can't help you with that.
Ms. Rosenthal, there's something called probable cause, which you have to show in order to get a search warrant.
I am a New York State Supreme Court judge detective. I know full well what is required to get a search warrant.
Well, Definitely look at Elanor Jackson,
I want an arrest made.
assuming the facts warrant it.
I'll expect to hear from you by the end of the day.
Have a piece of candy?
Oh, no, thank you.
Your friend want?
Oh, thank you. I'm fine.
What can you tell us about your friend, Olive?
Well, she got here about 6 months ago. A little shy at first.
And you became friends with her?
I understood what she was going through. You know, it's not so easy. You see nice surroundings, very expensive, and then you wonder, what's the problem? Well, believe you me, there are plenty of problems. And until you get old, you don't know.
Elanor Jackson was her aide. Is that right?
Yeah, she broke her hip last year, and her daughter wanted someone to be with her. I mean, to tell you the truth, she didn't need anybody. But to make her daughter feel better, she had her.
Well, they get along, she and Olive?
What's not to get along? Come in.
You have company.
Yes, I have company.
All right. You don't have to speak to me so sharp.
I'm mad at you, Enid.
So be mad at me.
Why are you mad at her?
That's between us.
You had a tiff?
You know, you're very condescending.
I'm asking you why you're mad at her in case it relates to Olive's death in some way.
Well, I'm mad at her because she didn't understand why I was so upset this morning.
Well, wasn't she upset?
Apparently not.
Richard, Pancava?
Yeah, why? What's going on?
You step out of the truck for a second?
Why? We'll explain it to you when you get out of the truck. Come on, guys. It's a little embarrassing me doing this here.
I'll try to do it as quick as we can.
Guys in there work for me now. They see me getting hassled by the cops.
You know a girl by the name of Amy Rasmussen?
Yeah, what kind of trouble is she in now?
What makes you think she's in any kind of trouble?
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't jump to conclusions.
You don't have any weapons in this truck, do you?
What kind of weapons? No.
No guns, nothing like that?
No, I don't have any guns.
All right, mind if we take a look inside?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't have any guns.
And take a look in your glove compartment?
Go ahead. I said I don't have any guns. Yeah.
How come this bill's like this?
Like what?
Rolled up.
I don't know.
Richard, you got anything else in there you're not supposed to have?
I thought you said you're looking for guns.
What's this?
I don't know what that is. Come on.
I think I know what that is. Put your hands on the truck. Come on.
Man.
88 months and there's a search warrant for the apartment of an Elanor Jackson we're supposed to execute.
The nurse's aide?
Right.
And how'd you get a judge to sign that?
DOA's daughter is Judge Rosenthal. If I had to guess, I'd say it was a matter of professional courtesy.
You know, when I think of what I've had and not been able to get a search warrant.
Well, you didn't have a judge in your hip pocket.
If you don't come up with anything, chalk it up to servicing a victim's family member.
I have an inventory and a description of the items missing.
We'll let you know what we find.
Just thinking of you.
Oh, yeah?
I was wondering if you're free for lunch.
I actually have to have lunch with my father today.
Oh, well.
Wait a minute, why don't you come?
No,
Oh,
thanks.
if you're there, it'll be tolerable. Otherwise, it's going to be another career day counseling session.
Your father doesn't want me along.
He won't mind, and I will be really grateful.
Where are we doing this?
I'll give you a call.
Okay.
You got a sec?
Yeah, John, take me through.
You want me to start without you?
I'll be right there.
What are you looking to do following the promotion?
Hadn't really thought about it.
You want to be retained here in the 15th?
On patrol?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that for the time being, anyway.
I'll make a call, see what I can do.
Sit down.
Swear to God, I have no idea how that cocaine got in that truck.
You can square it with God on your own time. As far as we're concerned, you're looking at a B felony.
No way I can catch a break on that?
Depends. What was your relationship with Amy Rasmussen?
We're friends. Why?
When's the last time you saw her?
What, is she in some kind of trouble or something?
It's a simple question. Do you want to help yourself or not?
I don't know when it was.
When's the last time you saw her husband?
Met the guy once, maybe 6 months ago.
Well, Richard, he was murdered this morning.
Whoa. I don't know anything about that.
Your number was dialed from the house phone this morning. Did Amy call you?
Yeah, she wanted to see how I was doing.
Don't tell us fairy tales, Richard. Why was she calling you?
I picked her up this morning.
Did you go in the apartment?
No. I was taking her to see this building. I was running late. She called to see where I was.
Why were you taking her to see a building?
I wanted to buy it. I thought I could rehab it, sell off the units, make some money. I needed help with the purchase price, so I called her.
You sleeping with her?
No.
She buys you a new truck and now you're talking to her about buying a building?
We had a romantic relationship. One thing and another, and we broke up.
Didn't mean she lost her desire for you.
That's right. It didn't mean that. And come to think of it, just might have been too much to ask her to stay faithful, given he was like ancient. Maybe she wanted him out of the way.
So you two could be together.
If I testify against her, cocaine charges get dropped.
Well, I guess we can assume that you're willing to consider that, right?
Hey, I gotta do what I gotta do.
Sit tight.
What do you want to tell us about the things we found in your apartment?
Mrs. Rosenthal gave them to me.
Well, her daughter wasn't aware she'd done that.
All kinds of things her daughter's not aware of. She didn't pay her mother a visit but once a month.
Well, she ever asked you where her mother's things were?
I don't remember whether she did or she didn't.
I think you do remember, and I think she did.
What did you tell her, Eleanor?
I told her I didn't know nothing about it.
Well, if her mother gave you permission to take them, then why wouldn't you have said that?
Because I didn't want her taking them back.
Well, you can explain all that to a judge, Elanor, but I gotta tell you, chances are you're looking at a burglary prosecution.
Probably don't help me knowing the daughter's a judge herself.
No, it doesn't.
She gave me the picture frame. She gave me the candlesticks. She gave me the silver bowl because she said she had no use for it. I took the bracelet. I shouldn't have. I know I shouldn't have. But I was looking at it one day, feeling bad because her daughter had just yelled at me on the phone. And since Olive never wore it, I figured I was taking it from her daughter. That don't make it right, but that's why I did it.
And you were afraid of getting caught.
Is that why you injected her with a drug, Elanor?
You think I did that?
You had the opportunity to do it, you had a reason to do it.
I cared for that woman.
Look, you're a nurse's aide making $7.15 an hour.
That don't make me wicked.
Nobody's saying it does.
Only a wicked soul would hurt that woman. Now, I may not be perfect, sir, but my soul is not wicked.
I'm reading about this Carly Fiorina. You know who she is?
No.
She's the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. She's one pisser of a gal, I'll tell you.
My father regularly updates me on the careers of various women who have climbed the corporate ladder.
Because I want her to see what women are capable of. Is there anything wrong with that?
Not so far as I can tell.
How was your veal?
Tough. And I'll tell you something else. It's not every father who sees his daughter as capable of going out and laying waste to the competition. This little girl's all of that.
No, I've seen her in action. She's terrific.
Thank you, John.
I just wish she was playing in a major league ballpark.
Yeah, she's in the Manhattan DA's office.
It's a city job. I mean, let's be honest, civil service at its best is a backwash of modest talent and stunted ambition. Am I right or am I right?
Daddy, did I not mention that John is a New York City detective?
Well, that's great. John, I don't know your background. Maybe the police department is a stepping stone for you. Maybe you're happy there.
I'm pretty happy there.
God bless you. All I'm saying is that with her intelligence and the kind of connections that she's able to capitalize on, there's nowhere she can't go.
I'm doing what I want to be doing. Can we just leave it at that?
You told me you were going to do a 3-year stint at the DA's office. Put it on your resume and head for the high corn. You've been there now 4.5 years and counting. And I don't see any movement in the direction of making good on that plan. Now, what am I supposed to do? Keep my feelings to myself?
Oh, no, Daddy, don't do that.
Naturally, everyone wants best for their children.
I really have to get going.
You have any coffee?
I have to be in court.
These are the toxicology reports from your DOA. They found a mixture of sodium pentobarbital and Delantin.
Is that what killed her?
Yeah. The note on it is that they're drugs used by veterinarians to euthanize dogs.
All right, we need to go through the records of those residents again.
Where'd you go this morning, Amy?
I went to the gym.
How'd you get there?
Cab?
So if I told you were seen getting into a pickup truck driven by an ex-boyfriend of yours, that'd be wrong?
Okay, look, I did get into a pickup truck driven by a former boyfriend.
But
when I came back to the apartment, I couldn't say that because Judith was sitting there and I couldn't say it in front of her.
And why was that?
Because she hates me as it is, and I don't like to give her ammunition to go after me with. I lied right now because I lied before. So.
You started seeing this guy?
No, I did not.
All right, Amy, we talked to Richard. We know about the truck. We know about the building.
The truck, I felt like I owed him.
Based on what?
There was a time when I needed help, and he was there for me. At least at first. He got in touch with me a few months ago. He was broke. He said that if he had a truck, he could start making a living again. I talked to Hugh, and I told him that there was nothing going on between us because nothing was going on between us. He bought him the truck.
Was he going to buy him the building?
No. And I wasn't going to ask him to.
Why were you going to see it?
Just to go. I was trying to be a good friend, trying to be encouraging.
Maybe it was an accident with the pillow?
You think I killed Hugh?
I think maybe a part of you wanted him out of the way.
No part of me wanted that.
You're 28 years old, your husband was 80. You stood to make $500,000 if you divorced him and $60 million if he died. That's a boatload of temptation staring you in the face, kid.
How dare you?
Have I spoken out of turn?
You don't know the first thing about me.
Fill us in.
I was run out on by my father. I was turned out by my stepfather. When I met Hugh, I had been abused by every man and woman I had ever been involved with. I was a strung-out call girl, and when a friend of his paid me to go over to his apartment, I took one look at that place, and the only thing I could think about was how I was going to rob him.
Why didn't you?
Because I liked him. The first few times I was with him, he didn't want to have sex. He just wanted to talk, watch TV. He would read to me from these books. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Ralph Waldo Emerson, E.B. White. I didn't know who they were. Half the time I didn't know what they were talking about, but he would try and explain it to me. He eventually put me in rehab and got me healthy. And I fell in love with him. I don't really care if you believe me or not, because the way I feel right now, I don't care what you do to me. But how dare you say that I was tempted by money? If I could still have him with me, I wouldn't trade it in for all the money in the world.
She didn't do it, Eddie.
Uh-huh.
No, I mean it. I really don't think she did.
How many times are you going to take orders from your little captain down there?
That's not what I'm doing.
It's not, huh?
No, I stop and look at something in the window doesn't mean I'm gonna buy it. What I say we do is we talk to the brother. The fact that the will sets up a trust rather than gives him the money outright tells you something's off.
Good. Good idea. I'd just rather not think we're doing it on this girl's behalf.
It's part of the investigation. Mr. Munson.
Someplace we can talk?
I'll be right back. Coffee?
No, thanks. I'd like to make a proposition. If it's not something you're interested in, I'm sure you'll say so.
Sure.
I have some potential clients coming in from Hong Kong in a couple of weeks. They're heavy gamblers, and I know they want to go down to Atlantic City. I just want to see if you're available to watch out for them.
They need a bodyguard?
I don't know that they need one. It makes them feel important to have one.
Well, it depends on what's going on here at work, how much time's required.
You give me as much or as little time as you want. I just want to tell you that I pay $1,000 a day, and the need for this comes up with some regularity.
I'm definitely interested.
According to my daughter, you're a heads-up guy.
That's very nice of her to say that.
Not to say that she hasn't been wrong once or twice.
Haven't we all?
Anyway, I hope you think about it.
Appreciate the offer.
Hey, boss, the blood work that comes back on our DOA shows a veterinary drug was used to kill her.
That point to anybody?
Well, there's a resident in the place who knew her, whose son's a veterinarian, and until she retired was a veterinarian herself.
Sounds like that's who you ought to be looking at.
We were hoping to toss a room.
It didn't take much to get him one the first time, so we were hoping that Munson might be willing to go to bat for another one.
Call her and ask her.
Since we broke a little bad over the DOA's daughter using her influence, we didn't want it to seem like we were asking just to make a point.
You want me to ask?
It might be better coming from you.
Right. Jerry Rasmussen?
Yeah.
Detectives, got a couple questions for you.
About what? Somebody seems to think you were involved in an accident.
What kind of accident?
Just talk to us for a second so we can straighten it out. Huh?
Can I get a bet down on the 4-horse?
Sure.
Yeah, he ran at Wanmouth a while back, and he came out of nowhere, got boxed in, and now he's going off at 6-1. He's running from the outside.
Where were you this morning, Jerry?
I was at my job.
Yeah, which is what?
I sell advertising at a radio station.
When's the last time you saw your brother?
Christmas. Why? What happened to my brother?
Your brother's dead, Jerry.
Hey, let's go. Hey, why don't you take it easy, pal? I want to go over here so we can talk.
What kind of relationship do you have with them?
I don't know. It had its problems.
Like what?
He tried to put me through school, and that didn't work out. And then he tried to get me started in different business ventures. They didn't work out. Probably thought I was a dope. Can't say he's wrong, but through it all, I always knew that if I ever needed him, he'd be there.
Hey, Jerry, what can you tell us about your brother's wife?
Oh, some people don't like her, but I do.
Who doesn't like her?
My brother's secretary didn't, but she didn't like me much either.
Why didn't she like her?
I think she was hoping that when my brother's first wife died, that she'd be next in line.
Well, what makes you say that?
That was the only time she was friendly with me. After the funeral, back at the house, she had a whole different personality. Asking me, what I was doing and joking around with me. I think she was trying to show my brother that she could be the lady of the house and take care of all the family obligations for him.
How long after that did Amy come on the scene?
Less than a year.
You know if your brother was at any time romantically involved with Judith?
I doubt it.
Why is that?
She worked for him. My brother gave me a lecture one time. He said, don't mix business and personal. That was way back when he was trying to tell me how to be a success.
Thanks, Jerry. We'll let you know if we need anything.
Still got 2 minutes before the race.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm just gonna go home.
Do you remember what time you got up this morning, Enid?
The same time I always get up, 5:45.
And what time did you go to breakfast?
I didn't go to breakfast.
Why is that?
I don't enjoy it.
What don't you enjoy?
I don't enjoy sitting at the table where I used to sit.
Well, why don't you sit at another table?
I'm assigned to table number 5. And that's the table I'm required to sit at.
Well, did you used to enjoy sitting at table number 5?
Yes,
Why'd you stop sitting at the table?
because a certain individual moved in and was invited by another individual to sit there. And then this certain individual proceeded to monopolize the other individual's attention. And I chose not to be a part of it.
It was Olive Rosenthal who moved in.
I'd rather not say.
We need you to say.
Don't you think it's wrong to come into a place and change the way things are just to suit yourself?
Where did you go last weekend, Enid?
To my son's.
And this is the son who's a veterinarian?
How'd you know that?
You were a veterinarian yourself, weren't you, Enid?
Yes, I was.
I bet at the time you went to veterinarian school, there are very few women who did that.
I was one of 2 in my class.
You know how to put an animal down, Enid?
We found the wrapping for the syringe in your room, Enid.
She was such a needy thing. Wanted Belle all to herself. Acting helpless when she was asked to do anything or go anywhere, unless Belle was there to hold her hand.
And you had to adjust to that.
When I was 77 years old, I gave up my veterinary practice, and I adjusted to that. And then I went to work part-time for another veterinarian until I was 81, when I had to retire, and I adjusted to that too. I moved in here when I was 83. Having given up the home I'd lived in for more than 50 years, it wasn't easy. But with Belle as my friend, I finally adjusted to that too. I don't think it's right that I'm forced to adjust again. I've adjusted enough.
You wanted things the way they were.
I can't have things the way they were. Isn't that the damnedest thing? I put that silly old woman down. And now Belle won't even talk to me. Oh.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. That was Chief of Personnel's office. I'm being retained on patrol here at the 15th.
Fantastic.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Andy, that was a parking lot in Long Island City. I think we need to talk to the old man's secretary again.
You mad at me?
No.
I'm sorry. I just had to get out of there.
He came by.
What do you mean?
Well, your father came by. He asked if I wanted to do some security work for him.
What'd you say?
I said if we could work out the timing, I'd be open to it.
You're kidding me, right?
What's wrong with that?
Do you not understand what he was doing?
What was he doing?
He hires you, it goes bad. Now there's a problem between you and me.
How do you know it's gonna go bad?
I know my father. Everything is about manipulation. Everything comes with an agenda.
Okay, I won't do it.
Which now he's gonna know is because of me.
He's not gonna know. I'll say it was because of work.
Next time, will you do me a favor? Will you just check with me first?
Ready?
Yeah.
What happened?
She went for it.
This is this Enid woman?
Right.
I still want to go forward with burglary charges against Elanor.
You sure?
What do you mean, am I sure? She stole.
I think this was mostly a crime of opportunity.
Does that excuse it?
Puts it in perspective anyway.
It does nothing of the kind. My mother was vulnerable, and she took advantage of that.
She took care of your mother.
Are you saying I didn't?
No, you needed help, and you got Elanor to help you.
We talked to her, Judge, and I don't think there's any doubt in either of our minds that she did her best to make your mother comfortable, to keep her company.
So just let her go then, right?
It's up to you.
I think probably that's what my mother would want me to do.
I think probably you're right.
I thought you might be interested in some of Mr. Rasmussen's accomplishments over the years.
Wow, you put that together?
Not the kind of thing he would do for himself. This is one of 3 cases he argued in front of the United States Supreme Court. This is him with Governor Rockefeller, with Yitzhak Shamir.
Quite a career.
Yes, it was quite a career.
Judith, what time was it you left your house this morning to come into the city?
I said it was about 6:15, I believe.
So the drive from Flushing to Long Island City, that time of day takes about a half hour, so that puts you there about 6:45.
Can I ask why this is an issue of such significance?
We set up a timeline with everyone.
So I'm assuming you got on the subway where? Queensboro Plaza?
Vernon Jackson.
So from there, it's one stop to Grand Central.
I take it to 5th Avenue, transfer to the F train, which I take to West 4th Street.
Which gets you into the Rasmussen apartment around 7:30.
Which is when I said I got there.
Problem is, we checked with the parking lot in Long Island City.
Why would you have done that?
That's what we do.
They have you parking your car at 5:45, putting you in the city at 6:30.
Well, I don't know that they're correct about that.
Now they have a stamp time card.
But even assuming that they are, I don't always keep perfect track of the time. I'm always punctual.
I think you do, Judith. I think you do keep perfect track of the time.
See, you got there at 6:30 because you had overheard Amy making arrangements to get picked up at that hour. You saw her get into the truck with her old boyfriend, then you went up to the apartment to deliver that news hot off the presses.
I don't know why I would do that. There's no gratitude given the bearer of bad news.
With the wife running around on him and you being loyal.
Yes, I was loyal.
You served him faithfully for almost 30 years.
And I was well rewarded for my service.
Just wasn't the reward you were looking for.
No, Mr. Rasmussen was eminently fair with me.
Yeah, but he just married somebody else.
As it was his prerogative to do.
Somebody else to live in that beautiful apartment while you commuted from Flushing. Somebody else to travel with him, to stay in great hotels, to eat in fine restaurants. Somebody else to share his life.
And why was that? Huh? I mean, because she had a great body. She knew him less than a year, and she got him to marry her. And still, she was going out on him.
Who the hell was she to get away with all that?
I don't blame her. She's a whore. And I mean that literally. She's a woman who takes money for sex. But Mr. Rasmussen, on the other hand, he knew better. He knew what it meant to be a decent person, to recognize loyalty and devotion and sacrifice. And he refused to do that. Instead, he let the base animal side of his nature brush me aside in favor of what? As you said, a great body.
And of course, you told him all that.
I owed it to him to tell him. I owed it to him to make him aware that people were laughing at him, that she was laughing at him. She and her boyfriend both.
But he didn't listen.
He told me that she was his wife, and I had to accept that. He didn't want me keeping an eye on her and reporting back to him. He said it wasn't my business. My business. For almost 30 years, my business was him. And then he told me to take the rest of the day off and think about whether or not I could be civil to Amy. To Amy! Because if I couldn't, then he was going to have to think about making some changes. That's the way he put it, making some changes. So I covered his face with a pillow, his small, toothless face, and I held it there until he stopped breathing. I deserved better than to have Mr. Rasmussen speak to me like that. I really did.
It was Judith who killed your husband.
I guess I should have seen that coming.
Amy, so you know, your friend Richard was arrested with a small amount of coke in his truck. He was ready to testify against you if there was a deal to be made.
That also doesn't surprise me.
And you got a lot of money now. Money of your own. You probably want to stay away from people looking to hustle you.
Are there any other kind?
Yeah.
I guess Hugh was one, right?
There'll be others. Give it some time.
I've never done too well being on my own.
Good luck.
Thank you, Detective.
Where'd everybody go?
Oh, I guess they headed over to the ceremony.
Present!